Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Knowing Who. It's been a bit of a hiatus. We've come a long way around.
An unplanned delay.
Yeah, various reasons have caused delay. When we were recording this remotely for one reason, just because I'm still shaking off the last of a winter flu,
and there was a
chest
foot
infection,
of snow
God knows
outside,
what.
and
there was a foot of snow. There's been all sorts sort of standing in our way. It's as if we've gone into one hotel room and had to wait a whole year to come back round again. That's a rubbish segue, but there you go. I hope everyone has had a lovely Christmas. We kind of knew that we'd be recording this after Christmas, but I also hope everyone's had a good New Year, because we've ended up recording this in 2025. Timey-wimey. So, there we go, really.
Sure.
Can you tell that we've not done this in a while? So yes, did you have a good Christmas, Ben?
I did very much so.
Yes.
What about you?
Filled with Doctor Who treats, I hope?
I watched Doctor Who.
Cool.
I think that's
did you
the
watch
only Doctor Who
anything
related.
else?
I couldn't really, unfortunately.
Right.
Because I was in Ireland, so everything that was on every other channel on the BBC, I had no iPlayer, I had nothing. So no, I've not watched anything. I've not watched the colorization.
War Games.
I've not watched the proms. I've not watched anything. I've watched Unleashed, as well as Doctor
You've watched
Who.
Unleashed? Well, that's one thing more than me, because I've still not got around to watching Unleashed.
Cool. I'll be honest, there wasn't much in there. It was a bit of a fluff one.
I think I went and watched the little clip at the end.
Yes.
Isn't there a little clip from Series 2, Episode 1, whatever it is? So there's that.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll touch on Series 2 at the end, which is full of exciting stuff. But we are not here to talk about Series 2. We're here to talk about Joyce to the World, Ncuti Gatwa's second Christmas special, December 25th, 2024, and written by that guy Stephen Moffat, who's I think written a few.
He's not a regular.
No, it's a newcomer. Yes, obviously we are being facetious, but yes, it was a real change to have a Moffat. I mean, who would have thought we would be getting a Stephen Moffat Christmas special in the year 2024? That's kind of mad when you think about it.
Yeah, it is, because we've not had one since 2017.
Yeah. So I mean, that's 7 years, 7 or 8 years. It's crazy actually to think that this is him doing another one. Obviously, we had him earlier in the year doing Boom.
Yes.
This was originally going to be a Russell Christmas special, and plans fell through, so Stephen jumped in to save the day. And so this is basically, it's an unexpected sort of Moffat story. Who knows whether he'll be coming back again? This again, like every Moffat story that he kind of does, feels like an ending. Husbands of a Song felt like it. Twice Upon a Time was obviously very much it. And
sorry, I don't want to jump in. I don't know if you ever heard.
No, go ahead.
Russell did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and a certain River Song was brought up in said interview.
Oh, I've not read this.
You've not seen this. So basically, the gist is he was asked, are you ever going to bring River Song back? And he went, I would love to bring River Song back. It's up to Stephen, really, if he wants to bring her back and write her in, etc., etc.
Okay.
So it sounds
basically the door is always open.
But it sounds like Stephen is here to stay for a bit longer, based on... That's what I understood from that interview. So who
Perhaps
knows?
in a similar vein to how he was always popping up in Russell's previous era, we'll always get the odd Moffat story here and there.
Even though I'm pretty sure he said that he's done now and he's never going to do Who again. But of course, he said that before.
We've heard that record before. But I mean, just to jump straight in, let's talk about it in order, because I think for a story like this, you kind of need to just go beat by beat. But I mean, what a Moffat way to open the Christmas special, with that sort of basically a cold open of the ham and cheese toastie and a pumpkin latte. It was the SDCC clip that we saw, which felt weird. The fact that we'd seen this whole pre-title.
I think this whole I don't know how long it was. I want to say 5 minutes, but it probably wasn't that long. But this came out in May, something like that.
Yeah, it was so a long time ago.
Yeah, and I've seen it enough times now that I sort of don't feel anything towards it. I just think, okay, get on with it. It's not the start of the episode. Let's carry on.
It was literally one of those things of, I feel like we've had it before. I can't remember off the top of my head when we have. But, oh yes, The Next Doctor. It was that kind of thing of, you've seen the whole of that pre-titles, and it's only when the titles have finished, you're like, okay, and now we're into the new stuff. So it was weird. It was almost like, if you want to go make a brew or you want to go make a turkey sandwich, you've got 5 minutes to do it because you've seen all this before. But nonetheless, it was a very, it's so Moffat to be like time zone, boom, 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 Doctor bursting into, all these domestic situations. A nice way to open the story. And this whole, the starseed will bloom and the flesh will rise, that's another Moffat kind of thing, really. It's a kind of Moffat buzzword sort of phrase that is kind of a signature of his.
And I'll be honest,
stories,
I still have no idea what that means.
Yeah, this is something I wanted to go into, and maybe near the end, as we reach the conclusion, because this is a very zippy kind of story. We're going one place, we're going another. The only point we obviously slow down for is that year. So it's kind of, I mean, on Christmas Day, I did struggle to keep track of what was going on. And when, as your family do, they turn around and they go, so what happened at the end of that? I literally just turned to them and went, I actually don't know. But, it's that whole thing of, you take the fun out of it on Christmas Day. You're not really paying 100% attention to the plot. I mean, we just watched Wallace and Gromit, and that was,
I've still not
very
seen
simple kind of storytelling. You need to see it. It's great. I mean, you can't beat Wallace and Gromit. There was some great telly over Christmas, as everyone's all constantly gone on about on
the
BBC.
The 100 best TikToks on Channel 5.
Was that a thing? Really?
Yeah, they had the 100 best TikToks apparently.
Oh, great!
I haven't watched
Christmas
it.
telly.
I didn't watch that either, but I do find it hilarious that it exists.
I mean, we had the huge success of Gavin and Stacey as well, which is currently on, I think, nearly 20 million views.
I think it's the most
nuts.
viewed thing in like decades, or
so,
something like that.
I saw a figure, the most watched show since 2002, which is
that's over 20 years.
Mental.
That's
We're
huge.
talking pre-streaming, all this sort of stuff. That is insane.
Doctor Who
success.
Didn't get those kind of numbers.
No, it didn't, but it did. I think
it was the fourth most watched program of the day. Still, even though it wasn't. Anywhere near.
It got
number one.
It got in the lineup. Yeah. So
but what was I going to say? Just for clarification, Miles and I haven't spoken to each other about this episode at all, so I have no idea.
We don't do that anyway for the podcast,
but
though, do we?
I have no idea what. It's been a while since the episode aired. That's all I mean, really. But I have no idea what Miles thinks of this episode, and he's no idea what I think of this episode. I feel like it'll slowly reveal as we go on. Like I said, I still have no idea what the starseed will bloom and the flesh will rise means, and a couple other things I still don't really understand. You said you didn't understand the ending, so I think I have a vague idea of what we may think of this episode.
Well, put it this way, I will say even now, just to preface, I really felt I enjoyed it much more the second time round. I think you're in a different mindset. I was watching it on my own as opposed to with family. True. I was not saying that watching stuff with my family makes me enjoy it less, but it's the vibe is different. You're watching it through a different lens. You're watching it for the plot more than you're watching it for just it's something that's on because that Christmas environment is so yeah, I will say that I enjoyed it more the second time round.
Okay.
But like you say, I'm sure we'll kind of come to our own conclusions near the end. about who enjoyed it the most. But yeah, let's continue on. We'll get out of the titles and come into the Time Hotel in the year 4000, whatever it is.
202.
With a little sort of thing in the Murray's score.
Yes, I love this.
Did you notice this as well?
I noticed it straight away, and I thought it was amazing. It was the Stowaway, I believe it's called.
Yeah. It was. I was like 90% certain. I was like, this will confirm it. Just us two working it out. Yeah. But yeah. How cool is that? That's a lovely little throwaway.
It's an original little Christmas song that Murray wrote for Voyage of the Damned that gets sung on the Titanic by the band. And it's genuinely, I really like it. And I think of it as a real Christmas song in my head because it doesn't feel like a really good song.
It's just a good Christmas song.
And there's a couple other bits. I can't remember exactly what songs are played, but I think possibly, I don't know, a song from Series 2 is in the score at some point.
I heard the Doctor's theme played at one point.
That must have been it.
In the score.
Yeah. So Murray's
maybe Song for 10 got played. Who knows?
Yeah,
you know.
But it was a nice. It was immediate as well. Like the camera pans into the Time Hotel, and all of a sudden it goes dun 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 dun. And I thought, brilliant. I love that.
And it's kind of that thing of I don't think a lot of Doctor Who fans would instantly know it, but I think a lot of them would go, "Oh, I feel a bit Christmassy somehow hearing this," because you're connected back to that Christmas in 2007, and there you go. It's a random little thing, but really lovely. I thought it was really nice to just hear that little titter, and I remember noticing it the first time. And then the second time round, actively going, oh yes, and it definitely is that one. So, yeah. And then the Doctor pops out the TARDIS, which in a costume that I absolutely love, the Arthur Dent kind of dressing gown. And I wish he just stayed in that for the episode because it's so weirdly Christmassy.
It sort of calls back to Christmas Invasion, I suppose. Slightly.
Yeah. It matches
really
the
cool.
Christmas, the hotel vibe and the Christmas vibe at the same time.
It does.
You know? Everyone's probably still in their pajamas anyway when they're watching this. So
probably, yeah. It was good. I did like it, and he's got the little newspaper and his 2 cups of tea or hot chocolates or whatever they are.
Yeah.
It was very cute, and I did like it. And I kind of like how he's just popping into this random hotel. It's nothing to do with the fact that it's the Time Hotel. He's just landed in a hotel to grab some coffee because he's probably just
kind of a
different,
a different side of the Doctor's life that we don't normally see.
Like how often does he just do this? That's what I was thinking. Exactly.
And I love his little line and Shooty's delivery of, I could just buy a fridge. Like that little realization and going, no, you know what, this is more fun. Shooty, just mentioning him, I think this might be his best performance as the Doctor so far, just as an overall package. I mean, I know we've had great moments like his very first thing that he shot for Dot and Bubble, which is still insanely good. But like as an overall kind of piece, I just think that he nails kind of everything here, and there's a lot of more traditional Doctor-y stuff that we didn't see. Yeah,
it's a bit of a
so much of in the first series.
Over the episode, he does lots of different pieces of Doctor-y bits, whereas in the past, in his most recent series, he's had like Boom was his serious episode, and then Dot and Bubble. I guess Dot and Bubble was at the end, at least, was another serious bit, and then he had a silly episode probably somewhere, and then he had a series finale where he was epic and booming and bombastic, and he's saving the day. Yeah. So in this one, he has a bit of sort of everything, especially with this beginning bit, where it's very sort of Moffat-y, comedy, funny bit, which was quite fun.
Yeah, and quite Sherlock-y when he goes into the TARDIS and you suddenly get all these shots zooming in on the sonic screwdriver, the coat, why did I do that?
Why did I do that?
Outside.
What did I see?
I almost thought that we were going to get a Sherlock-y kind of, analysing of the whole reception area and stood at the camera zooming in and stuff like that. But it's really nice, and it's clearly Moffat going, I know what I'm good at, so I'm going to kind of do that. And it's really nicely done. And Joel Fry as Trev, I think, really works in that opening scene. I think he does a great performance. I saw him live recently with Jodie in whatever that play was, The Duchess of something.
Big fan.
Harrowing piece of theatre that I saw on my birthday, which really lightened the day up. But yeah, he is fantastic at comedy. He really gets what Moffat's trying to do, the lines. He nails the comic timing.
Yeah, it's just
I think he works really well with shooting.
It's a bit of a shame that he's only in the first 2 minutes and then he comes back right at the end. But I suppose maybe if he's a big name, then they couldn't get him for too long or something like that. I don't know.
It's kind of like a theme with most of the characters in this, because he kind of gets bumped off before his time. Nicola Coughlan as Joy kind of isn't in it as much as you'd initially think.
No.
Anita is very much kind of like a vignette character as well. And the Silurian as well. It's kind of like the Doctor's just sort of popping into these people's lives, and you're right, we don't kind of get to see as much as we'd ideally like to see of them, but nonetheless, they, you know, Joel Fry, I think, is one of the standouts in the cast. He's very funny. I liked when he's the kind of villain guard's AI thing, and he goes through all this spiel, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm dead, by the way, and it's just like a little throwaway, you know, thing. He gets the timing of the comic lines and all that Moffat-y stuff. He's really good. Should we talk about the Time Hotel as an overall thing? Yeah. What did you think?
I like it as a concept. I quite like the Time Hotel. He's calling back to SS Madame de Pompadour, isn't he, with his time windows and
true. I didn't even think that.
Yeah, I think he mentioned it at some point in a pre-interview, but it says it's the same technology where it's a time window that is permanently locked to a point in time. So as time passes through one side, it also passes at the same rate on the other side of the door. As opposed to just, this sends you back to 2023 or 2024, I suppose.
So is that the idea? Because I thought like, these are specific points in time. Like you can go and see the assassination of JFK, because obviously why wouldn't you want to do that? Yeah. I remember my brother turning to me as that happened, and he was like, "That's brutal. That what
I
the
know.
Hell? What kind of brochure is like, you know, thing. Go and see someone get killed?"
I assume it's a reference to the fact that happened the day before Doctor Who ever started. That's presumably why that was there.
But it's so the idea is that these doors are just like a continuous time period that open whenever the room is empty. The hotel room / is
I assume that's the impression I got.
That would make sense. Yeah,
because obviously you can't sail the same night twice.
Exactly.
So you have to just keep it linear, I suppose.
And that's what the Doctor was saying about the lack of paradox from him waiting that year, because it's not time travel. He's literally just waiting and then
for the door to open again
back through. Yeah. So yes. Well, there we go. That makes more sense.
I've cleared this up for Miles. The sort of the thing I don't like super huge about the Time Hotel is the fact that Moffat said every time you go to a hotel, there's always a locked door. I think every time I've stayed in a hotel, there's not been a locked door. I know it's like a thing sometimes, but personally,
it's one of those things.
That.
It's like it kind of like, you're like, yes, I see what you mean, but equally, it's like it's not everyone. But then I suppose that's the point. It's like,
otherwise the hotel would be infinitely huge, I suppose. But
like it's only for these things. But then like the tent, it's like. So is that zip permanently?
Where does that
zip
go? Surely when they built the tent, they thought, where does this zip go? You know,
or what is it? Why are we making this zip that doesn't go anywhere? /
it's all
will never
be
opened.
It's all a conspiracy by Big Time Hotel. They've gone back in time and organised the building of these hotel rooms and tents and.
I'm sure someone would have an explanation, but I did like the visual of all of those. Sort of random doors, the little joke of,
I quite like that.
Leaning Tower of Pisa and that sort of stuff. Yeah. It was,
and there's a hobbit hole as well. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did.
It's identical.
I was looking out for that, having been to Hobbitland myself recently.
Apparently, I saw a tweet somewhere that literally took a picture of the one from the set of Lord of the Rings and then the one on Doctor Who, and they're literally identical. Like that's exactly.
I wonder how they got away with that. I wonder how they were like, we can do this, but
I guess because the door can
Disney
be
can do whatever they want.
Who knows? Who cares?
Yeah. But yes, very, very, very cool. I just love. I think you're right. The concept is fantastic, and it's quite Douglas Adams. It's quite. I could picture it being like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
No, I mean you've got Arthur Dent in the dressing gown, and you've got the Time
yeah.
Hotel. It's all very kind of
very
Adamsy.
much so.
And it's nice to see the Doctor sort of almost messing around with it as well, popping in and out of the rooms. Which I have to say, I think that because this is quite a timey-wimey story, and sure, there's debate to, how much it actually makes sense in terms of the plot. But I've noticed as I was watching it, it's a very slick edit, especially at the points where you get reprises of the Doctor, the whole pumpkin latte thing.
Oh yeah.
We see that happen again, and there's a lovely moment when you see a reprise of the shot of the tent being zipped up, and then we cut to the Doctor as he's zipping it down, and the same thing happens again with when the second Doctor appears through not Patrick Troughton.
Patrick
that would be
there.
hell of a cross promotion for the War Games. But when the other Doctor comes through the door and then shuts it, and just it's very slickly done when it could be it could easily be quite clunky.
I am interested to know whether someone online has cut together all those bits to see if they actually match or if they're different takes or what. Because I thought about going back and watching it and trying to cut between them, but I
work it out.
Didn't bother. But I would like to see if they actually properly match up like that. Because there's a bit, when I'm skipping ahead slightly, I suppose, but when Doctor Number 2 goes back into the hotel room and he looks at the chair.
Yes, that's obviously like an additional.
Obviously, that's a new shot of looking at the chair. But if you were to see it the first time round, does that new Doctor look at the chair for a second because it's a shot of him when he comes in, isn't it? So I wonder.
I think I kind of, because I was sort of consciously aware of it, I was kind of looking, and I think that there's more focus on the current Doctor in either of those scenes. So you're focused on the past Doctor in the first time you see it, and more on the future Doctor when you see it the second time. But either way, it's just very, very nicely chopped around.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun, and it's in terms of, you never get confused about the linear narrative of the thing, which I think could easily be, if it was done in the wrong way, a confusing aspect. But at the very least, you know at what point the Doctor is. Oh, this is a flashback and all that sort of stuff. We saw that already. That's all very clear. So I think that's kudos to whoever edited it. I didn't check.
No, I haven't either. Personally, I think I sort of wasn't a fan of seeing everything again. Although,
really? Okay.
I mean, only because
it's necessary though, isn't it?
So it's necessary for people who don't know what the hell's going on. Personally, I got it, so I didn't really question it. And for me, I wouldn't have had the cold open. It's a fun cold open. It's fun for Comic-Con, and maybe that's the whole reason it exists. But seeing that later on in the story anyway, when he's going around with the pumpkin latte, wouldn't take away from the joke, in my opinion.
Sure, but I think
again, like you said, it is necessary for people who don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm not dissing that.
It makes it clear. I can see why they opened with it, because it's a very Moffat way, like we were saying, of opening it, and also the whole jumping forward, jumping back, jumping forward again. And I think that they don't show the whole thing again. They do condense it down.
They do. They do.
I think they did it in the best way that they could manage, by reprising those bits. But then the only one that does, I agree, feel a little bit long is when you see the Doctor, the two Doctors scene again.
Yeah, because you get that
because
whole
you're literally
scene.
you've got to get the whole scene again.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't really make sense to
that one. I think
is
the most necessary purely for logic reasons.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But you're right. You do kind of get the sense of, we've literally seen this. We've
seen that.
I'm well aware.
Yeah.
But makes sense.
Should we jump back a bit? There's a briefcase in this story.
There is a briefcase. The baddie is the briefcase.
The baddie is a briefcase from an from an old ancient enemy of the Doctor, I believe, is what they called it in all the.
That's how they promoted it, hasn't it?
Promotions. Yeah. It's an I quite like the briefcase attaching onto people and then killing people and transferring information.
I mean, it's a hotel. Could have been a suitcase, maybe.
Handcuffs in a hotel. I mean, who knows what that could have been in there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, the scene with the Silurian and the Doctor in the hotel room, which is played. I think the first time I watched it, I was like, when Anita walks in and she just...
That's very funny.
Has and then just carries on with her job. I was like, what are you doing? There's literally an alien in the room. But watching it the second time around, you think she's clearly like, oh, God, this always happens. There's sci-fi conventions going on nearby.
Something's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, these
role-play and all
weirdos
that
are
sort
in
of stuff.
with the handcuffs. Bloody hell.
Yeah, so it kind of made more sense the second time around.
I never actually clocked that.
Yeah.
I just thought she was just completely disinterested. But you're right, that is exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we'll talk more about Anita later on, but I think that's one of her strengths as a character, to kind of ground the really sort of it, because it is a very mad story, and her performance is great in sort of grounding that, making it a bit more human. But yes, we'll talk about her later. But yeah, the briefcase is kind of the sort of central plot point with the whole the starseed thing. So villain guards want to make
let's get to the actual plot of the bad guy. So villain guard, who were kept a secret through the entire episode and all the promotion, despite the fact that it was revealed in the Children in Need clip months ago. Want to,
as was the Time Hotel and all that sort of stuff as well, in that one Children in Need clip.
So they want to create a star using the star seed. I get that. Okay, I understand what a star seed is now. And
but why? That's the one thing I don't understand, is why they want to make a star.
I don't think they ever mention why, but they do say that it's not to kill off all of Earth. That's
collateral damage, right?
That's collateral damage.
Yeah. Because they're like, oh, we're so sorry for all the people who will get killed, but that's,
that's just what
it is.
So some people have said online, I've seen that, and my brother said this to me before I saw any tweets about it, like the night of the episode, that apparently it's meant to be a bootstrap paradox, because in creating the star on Christmas Day, it creates Christianity, which then creates the church, and then they buy all of Villengard's weapons in the far future.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know if that's the intention of the episode. I think that's just a happy coincidence.
That would be insanely clever if that was the point. And the only thing is that I think in this instance, you'd really need to make that, if that was indeed the point,
but also,
you'd need to make that clear.
Yeah, you'd need to make it clear, which it isn't made clear. And also, I believe at the end, Joy, by creating the star herself and not leaving it in the suitcase, moves where the star is and therefore foils the plan. So it can't have been the plan. So
because it wasn't meant to open.
And I don't know what the flesh will rise means. Does that just mean it will kill all the humans? I don't actually know.
I thought that meant that, like, as in she will float into the sky, because she reiterates that. She's like, the flesh will rise.
She does.
I'm going to rise. But then that's a very literal thing.
But also, she wasn't meant to take the starseed out of the suitcase, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Exactly, yeah, because there's it kind of looks like it's been ripped out, and it's... I think what it needed was maybe, because Villengard... Sorry,
yeah. And now everyone is saying
Sorry,
Villengard.
I'll go back to Shooty's
It's not just Shooty now. Everyone says Villengard.
Everyone's got to say it like that. It's kind of... The corporation's been kind of a faceless thing, which is, I guess, is the point, really.
Yeah.
It is just a big corporation who never get their hands dirty. They always just let others do it for them. But I think what it maybe needed was a face to the name, just in this instance, to maybe make the point of it a bit clearer, just to be like, here's the bad guy saying why they're doing what they're doing, because I get what was being done, but why was kind of the question I had. And also, did, like you say, Joy doing what she did, is that what they wanted? Did they get what they wanted?
Because they said everyone would die, but then clearly everyone doesn't die.
But then they don't.
So they were foiled, I guess. But I don't know. But she still made the star, and...
But she still made the star.
Honestly, I have no idea.
I don't think we're gonna come to a conclusion with that ourselves. I think that it was just something that maybe either got lost in the edit or maybe.
Yeah,
maybe,
it sort of felt a bit.
I don't know. I don't know what happened really.
When I was watching it on Christmas, it sort of felt a bit Legend of the Sea Devils, as in something had been lost in the edit, and also that the VFX were horrible at the end. It felt sort of
what the whole Bethlehem thing.
Well, the bit where she's floating into the sky and is lit like a sun or whatever, I think was horrible. I think
at the end of the day, I don't know how
I
you
wasn't
can
gonna
really
get to
make
that
a
until
visual
the
like that not look like
I was
going
to leave that to the end of the end of this review.
Let's jump back then. Let's jump back to the hotel room. Silurian, I mean,
very cool.
Obviously, it's just window dressing, but why not?
Yeah.
Why not have a Silurian?
And if you want to turn yourself into a Silurian, then I recommend you watch Doctor Who Unleashed, because they go into detail on how to do that.
Oh, interesting.
You have
Very
to
nice.
have professional grade prosthetics.
Yes, but still.
But
yeah,
good.
it was nice to see the return of that Moffat design, because I'm a fan of it. I remember in 2010 when they came back and
everyone hated it.
Well, I mean, I was a 10-year-old. That was.
I didn't know any different.
That was brill. Yeah. Obviously, I love the old ones as well. Doctor and the Silurians is one of my favourite stories.
And of course, he's being played by Jonathan Arris from Sherlock fame.
Anderson from Sherlock,
a Moffat creation. So I'm sure Moffat said, "Let's bring him in." And I clocked that, I think, straight away when I saw the Comic-Con release. I think immediately I went, "Oh, that's the guy from Sherlock."
He's got a recognisable kind of pointed face, really,
exactly.
hasn't he? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And then he immediately dies, as with everyone else. He detonates into starlight. I guess it was Christmas, so they couldn't have corpses. That's probably why they did that.
Yeah. But then equally, maybe that's them going into the star, but then
being used as energy.
There's no proximity. Anyway, it was still nice to have a Silurian. Again, like you say, it's a shame we didn't have more of that. The death scene was. I think it works. I just wish that maybe Ncuti just held back a little bit on the tears, because I don't think they were needed. I think the emotion comes from what's happening rather than
he's recalling his backstory, and it's that I quite like that. The fact that he has a backstory as well, I wasn't expecting. I just thought he was just going to be a Silurian.
He's just there,
and the fact that Ncuti's trying to get him to remember and to stay there for those guys, and then he dies anyway, which is quite sad. I think it was done well, although I think it would have been more impactful with a corpse. But then again, it was Christmas Day, so we probably can't have corpses.
No, that's probably a note in the script. No bodies.
Yeah, let's CGI them
please.
out. And then they crack into the suitcase, don't they?
They do, and we get that really tense kind of moment of the countdown, which is then subverted by you feel like the countdown's ended, but then we get another countdown on top of that.
Yes, I quite liked that.
Which is very nice and very clever, and the whole code thing, which kind of the future Doctor tells them the code, and I love how Joy later on in the episode goes, well, where did the code come from? And the Doctor basically goes, oh, well, nowhere, and he says a lovely line of basically like, but the universe came from nowhere, and no one complains about that.
Yes,
so
I quite like
basically
that.
Move on, which is a very another very Moffat thing to do.
Yeah.
So we get that. Joy is overtaken by the suitcase and runs off into the Time Hotel. Future Doctor basically goes, "See ya," and locks.
And they have a bit of
Doctor out.
And they have a bit of a couple spat, don't they? The Doctor and the Doctor.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people have said, sort of, I thought he healed himself, why is he all traumatized still? But I think it's more of a joke than a serious, this is why everyone hates you. I think he's more like, God, you're being so annoying. It's
a sort of self interaction thing. Yeah,
it's not something that's meant to be overarching into the overall plot of the Doctor being sad and sulky. It's just a bit of a throwaway joke. And then we get sort of what I think is the best 10 minutes or so of the entire episode. If it is 10 minutes, I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't actually time it because I was like,
when you're first watching it, it feels like, okay, they're going to do like a 2-minute montage of the Doctor working in a hotel, but it just sort of keeps going. And I've got a couple opinions. I think it should have been a 2-minute montage, to be completely honest. Right. But I really love it. I think this is the best part of the episode, and this should have been the focus of the episode. But then if you do that, you'd have to rejig the entire story and probably get rid of Nicola Coughlan and the Time Hotel, probably.
And the star thing, yeah.
So I quite like it, but it doesn't fit in the episode, in my opinion, even though it's my favourite part of the episode. So you kind of conflicted. I'm really conflicted.
You're kind of,
because I really like it.
I see what you mean.
But it shouldn't be in this episode. That's the problem I have with it.
I see what you mean. It does feel very disjointed from the main plot because it's doing something quite different. Although, is it? Because I suppose it matches the theme of the star being planted somewhere and then having to wait.
I understand it from a plot perspective. Like, I have no qualms with it. I just think it's done wrong, to be completely honest.
But like you say, it works, and I think it works because of Shooty, obviously, and then the brilliant, I wrote her name down, Stephanie de Worley.
Hopefully yes. Steph de Worley, right? Steph de Worley? Yeah. She's brilliant.
As Anita.
I think she's my favourite of the two companions, if I can say that. If she counts as a companion.
Because there basically is two companions, really.
I prefer her to Nicola. Nothing wrong with Nicola Coughlan. I just prefer her character to Joy, because Joy's a bit sort of nothing, really, to be completely honest.
Joy's kind of when she's not possessed by a suitcase,
Joy's
she's
just
very.
She's just a bit of a plot device.
She's meant to be upbeat, and Anita, by contrast, like we were saying, is quite kind of blasé and grounded. I think grounded, like as I said before, that's basically what she is. You know, she walks into that hotel room, sees a Silurian, and brushes it off and goes, I'm just going to put your towels in the bathroom. And carries on.
I quite like her as. I assume she's the manager of the hotel. She's funny. She gets along with the Doctor really well. She doesn't care how weird the Doctor is as well, because the Doctor's figuring out people's orders with psychic paper and doing the mopping with his sonic screwdriver, and he's got these. She
rubbishes the Weeping Angels as well, because I noticed in that scene when they're talking about stuff, she's like, "Oh, well, that's rubbish." And it's Moffat talking about his own idea. It's brilliant.
I love how there's a little reference to the Weeping Angels as well, because we've not really had much of references to old monsters so far in Shooter's Run, other than Sutek.
Which is nice, right? Though, because it's nice to be like, that's that, rather than another one,
another new thing that I don't know what that is. And there's my favourite part of the entire episode is when the Doctor is on the top of the stairs and he gets told the toilet's broken and he's handed a plunger, and then he goes, what, is this armed? Because he thinks it's a Dalek arm, which I think is hilarious. It's such a little throwaway thing.
Again, Shooty's so good because that line could come across, could just fall flat, but the way he says it, it's fantastic.
And I think there's a lot of people who probably just thought, oh, that's funny, and didn't realise what the joke was, but still didn't mind it. But if you understand that he's thinking this is the arm of a Dalek, and it's poking fun at the fact that the Daleks have plungers for arms as well, I just think that's really funny. I just love that one little joke as well. That's very good.
And you mentioned it as well, the little TARDISes, the little police boxes. Really,
they're not TARDISes.
How many did you recognise? Because there was a few official ones.
Oh, were there official? I knew I'd seen them before.
I was almost certain that you would have recognised them.
Well, there were no character options ones.
There was no character options ones, but I think that would have been going a bit too far.
Exactly,
it would have been so obviously like a specially designed box. Yeah. But there was a Battles in Time TARDIS card tin that was like a flat kind of one.
Hang on,
not so much a box, more than.
I'm googling this. Battle of Time.
Are you googling it?
Card.
Battles in Time, the card game.
I don't recognise the name. eBay.
Battles in Time cards.
Look, I'm an action figure guy, not a card guy. Okay, no, eBay just has cards.
That's crazy.
They don't have any tins. But I believe you. I'll believe you.
Yeah, there was the sort of teapot that they did for the Matt Smith era. Like the little, I've got one over there actually that was like a mug, which was another prop. And also there was briefly, I think on the windowsill you could see it was like a small TARDIS, almost in scale with the character options range that I remember them doing, and it had marshmallows inside. It was a little plastic TARDIS. Again, I had one of those, and it was like a nice cheap alternative to getting another character options box.
Yeah.
But yes, so it was nice to notice those references, and the Doctor's line, the whole thing of, I got them from online. They seem to be everywhere. I'm like, yeah, scalpers, Doctor, getting them from B&M and putting them online. That's why there's so many.
Yeah. I like the line.
But it was nice.
I think it's a funny little line, but when you sort of think of it, you're thinking, wait, so people are selling police boxes, or are they meant to be TARDISes? Is it like companions selling them on Etsy? Like, what the hell? What is it? Don't think about it. Just don't think about it.
Don't think about it. It's just a sweet notion that or maybe it's become a symbol in the Doctor Who universe. It's become a symbol.
It's Linda. Just blame it on Linda. It's that Linda line.
Yeah, and it's also like Anita's line of, "Oh, what's that?" It's like, well, it's very clearly a police box.
Yeah.
Surely you've seen one of those before.
You live in London. You've probably been to Earl's Court once. Like,
yeah. Yeah, she's like, oh, that's that thing from Earl's Court. But lovely. It like you say, regardless of whether it fits or not, whether it should have been shorter, I think it's a lovely sequence.
It's my favourite part of the episode, and it's whole. It's meant to be the whole year, and they get on really well.
The passage of time is really nicely signposted by little things in the background.
And when she says, "Oh, I love it when the clocks go back," don't you? And he goes, "Yeah, I love it when time goes backwards," or whatever the hell he says. And then later on, she says, "Oh, I don't like it when the clocks go forward." And he goes, "No, I kind of like it because it's time travel. It's a funny joke, but it's nice."
Yeah.
And I do quite like how Anita is clearly in love with the Doctor at the end. I think very much so.
Yeah,
and I was kind of hoping that they would have a little kiss and then he'd be on his way, but not to be.
A New Year's Christmas kiss. Yeah,
but also she says, you're married.
It became very romantic, actually.
There's a bit where she says, "Oh, you're married," and he says, "No, I'm not married," which sort of makes me question a lot of Doctor Who's history, especially his
loyalty to River Song, Elizabeth I, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, and
it becomes quite romantic at the end. You're right. It's
I don't know if the Doctor's
quite
even
sweet.
aware. He could just be completely oblivious, which is a very Moffat trait to write the Doctor as oblivious to that kind of thing. But she's clearly in love with him, and I do feel very bad for her at the end. And I kind of hope she comes back in some way and has a bit of a redemption. Who knows?
I mean, she's at the Time Hotel, so...
Yeah, she now works for the Time Hotel.
God knows who's going to run that hotel without her being there, but there you go. Sandringham might close down in 2025.
It's only across the road from Henrik's in real life, Hotel Sandringham. Henrik's.
As in Cardiff.
In Cardiff,
the location for it.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
There you go.
Very nice.
So where are we?
We jump back into the A plot, don't we?
Yeah, so Christmas... also, actually, very quickly, assuming the 14th Doctor is still alive... There's now 2 Doctors in 2020. In the year 2025, there's 2 concurrent.
There's 2 Doctors living,
hanging out in London,
living a mundane life.
So if in the next series there's a big threat to London in 2025, I'm just going to be thinking, what the hell is Doctors 1 and 2 doing here while Doctor 3 fights off the big bad? So I will bring that up in 6 months when series 2 is finishing up, I suppose.
Rightly so, as all Doctor Who fans should. The same thing happened with Captain Jack in Boomtown. Like, technically he's there 3 times because he's frozen in one Torchwood episode, and he's also there just at Torchwood as well. But yes, regardless of the fact, we jump back into the A plot. We're back with the main plot again. We have the whole dinosaur scene after that interesting sort of a moment of the Doctor sort of goading Joy to get the briefcase off her, which a lot of people like. They like seeing that side of Shooty.
I understand why he did it, because he explains himself. But as I was watching
There's no bad way of saving someone's life.
When I was watching it for the first time, with family around and whatever, and the Doctor was just being horrible. And it's before he explains it, and he just starts just destroying her. Felt horrible to watch. And I don't know how... Again, like, the plot then explains why he did it. Fine. And I understand it. And he's still saving her. But also... it feels
it comes
really
across as
weird
like,
to
whoa.
watch. It just feels very strange. And then is that where he says, your hotel room is a representation of what you think of yourself?
Yeah, you choose your hotel room.
I mean
it would have been made more sense if it was just
room.
You choose your hotel.
I choose my hotel room based on the price. It's nothing to do with how I think about myself. I'd love to choose a posh hotel room with all the amenities, but I can't afford that. So who knows? I don't know. I feel that's a weird line as well.
It's similar to the door thing of like, I see what you're trying to do, but maybe it's a bit doesn't quite land.
I don't know. I thought when he said that, I just thought, what are you talking about? I don't. I choose it based on the price. That's literally all I do. I go for a cheap hotel because I can afford that.
It means you're cheap. It means you're cheap. Yeah, that's what it means.
It means I have no money. That's what it means.
It means you're poor. Anyway, it means that we get to see proper
angry
Joy, for want of a word.
Oh, proper Joy. I was going to say
angry Doctor, obviously.
Yeah. Proper Joy. Joy's back. But she gets released.
Yeah. What do we think of Joy then? Because we've weirdly not had much of her up till this point.
We haven't, and that's sort of part of why I don't think we should have cut away for 10 minutes to someone else, to a different companion, because we do sort of lose Joy. But then I think mostly for the rest of the episode, except for this one scene, Joy isn't Joy. So we still don't really get Joy, except for this bit. And in this bit, it's sort of very much generic. Companion asks all the questions to move the plot along, and then she gets captured again. So I don't know how I feel about Joy, to be completely honest.
Because it's hard to get a handle on her.
There's not much
character
Joy to watch, and everything she does say is and I'm saying this in air quotes, subtle jab at 2 governments ago,
which feels like, is it too late to be kind of talking about that stuff, or
I don't know. I mean,
maybe it's never too late. I don't know.
When would this have been written? It would have been written. It was recorded
last
a year and a half
probably.
ago, I think. Wasn't it?
Right.
It was recorded mid 2023.
23.
But it would have been written 6 months before that? 2022, late 2022. So Boris had just been ousted 6 months before. I don't know. It does feel a bit late, and it feels a bit sort of on the nose. I don't know. And also they're sort of trying to tiptoe around it because they're not saying anything. They didn't mention COVID or lockdown. They just said they broke their rules, the rules.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's sort of, he's trying to be vague but also on the nose, and it's also
at the same time
he's also talking about 5 years ago. So I mean, I don't know how I feel about all of that.
It's a hard one to talk about, really. Yeah,
especially because
it's hard to know whether they did get it right.
I watched it in Ireland, and I was watching it with, it was me and my brother and my one Irish cousin were the 3 people watching it, and my Irish cousin is quite young, but he didn't get it. He didn't understand what all that was about. He completely
didn't get the COVID
No,
thing.
I mean,
wow.
I think he's only like 13, so like I don't blame him, but it just that, because Doctor Who, especially at Christmas, is a family show, and this isn't.
Yeah.
My cousin who was watching it is the target audience, and he was just like, "What's going on? I don't get it. What's this about? Why isn't anything fun happening?" So it just
I
certainly
get that,
didn't feel like a
because
Christmas episode, especially at this point.
I think
the overall episode sort of had that feeling.
I see what you mean, and I think I think that maybe it does have a place, and it should it can be talked about. It can be commented on.
Certainly,
but you're right. Maybe a Christmas episode isn't the place for that. I don't know. I think
I don't know either. I'll be honest.
like we say, it's a hard one to talk about. You know, it was a hard time for so many people.
Yeah.
So it's always gonna come across as slightly like, oof, did you do that well? So yeah. Anyway, moving on from that, we get a big dinosaur.
Hell yeah. And the dinosaur looks great.
Which looked pretty good. Yeah. Especially on the close-ups. The close-ups looked really, really quite
compared to the
cool,
last dinosaur
actually.
we got in 2014 or so, when I think that was the last
How
one.
long?
It looks so much better.
Unless we count Space Babies. We got some dinosaurs in the background of that. So.
Oh, we did. It was probably, thinking about it, they probably just reused a model from that episode.
They possibly did.
I forgot about that. But I quite liked that dinosaur. The dinosaur looked good. Of course, we saw the dinosaur before, though, in the Children in Need clip. So,
and that was it. That was kind of, we saw everything.
Yeah, we didn't get anything new out of that. You know, I haven't gone back and watched the Children in Need clip, but I assume they didn't cut it differently. It was just, exactly how it was in the episode. And again, like we sort of mentioned at the top, they reveal in that clip that Villengard is behind it, which means we've known for the entire... I don't know. I feel like it's a weird clip to choose.
Because they were obviously like, well, we want to choose a clip with Nicola Coughlan.
Yeah.
But there's no point in the episode other than the pre-titles that we can do that.
And we don't want to spoil
at this point when she's Joy again.
Thing. We don't want to spoil that she's been possessed. So it's...
So they were kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. It was like, well, we want to give you what you want, but equally
and
it's going to kind of spoil a lot of it.
They can't use the bit of him landing in the hotel in his dressing gown because there's a guest actor who hadn't been revealed at that point, and it's just immediately after the bit that we've already seen. So then you'd be watching it for even longer thinking, I've already seen this. It is... I don't know. It's very...
Maybe they could have shown like a series 2 trailer or done something else for that for Children in Need, because it was thinking about it, that is very, very odd, but it can't really be helped because obviously they were asked give us a clip, but what other clip could you give them, really? But it leads us to because obviously the briefcase is eaten by the dinosaur, that's then left there to be passed on to various people throughout the years.
Thrown up / pooped out of the dinosaur, I believe he says.
And then locked in a stone chest, eventually.
Yes, which for some reason is also a hotel room in the Time Hotel.
I guess that's to Bethlehem, isn't it? So for some reason, the suitcase ends up in Bethlehem.
Which is fine, I guess. But also, like, if they're in Bethlehem... There's a very famous story in Bethlehem about hotels and all being booked up.
Yeah.
So why didn't they?
Yes.
Why didn't they just use a hotel?
Well, the doctor literally says at the start. No wonder there was no room at the inn.
Literally. So why didn't they just use an inn in Bethlehem? I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose they needed.
It was probably because they didn't want to reveal that they were in Bethlehem until the end.
Exactly, and also they needed that kind of the safe thing so that the Doctor can have that set piece of going back through all the different time zones that he's just been through.
It leaves me wondering why on earth have they got a stone hotel room that's actually a temple that's been there for millennia that isn't a hotel in the Time Hotel? I don't get it.
It's one of those things that, again, I think you've just got to go.
Yeah. Basically, everything after they come out of everything after Chair Day is where the episode falls apart for me, because I just sort of I have so many questions about the plot from that point onwards that I just couldn't get back into it. So for the rest of this review, I'm going to be poking and prodding and pulling everything apart because that's how I was watching it on the day.
Well, I tell you what, I did. I loved the action set piece of
that was fun.
The Doctor with the rope and stuff, and that it was very Polar Express vibes of him getting on top of the train. The budget is budgeting at that point. Like
it is, and then it disappears
very clearly. Like the money is on the screen, you know.
Yeah, the money is that scene, and then they've ran out of money immediately afterwards.
So we've got the Doctor stuck in a hotel room for a year. That's probably why we have 10 minutes of that. Yeah, because we've done the Polar Express scene.
And it's.
But I think it looks great.
It is good, and it's quite Moffat-y, where he's running through a hotel room into a door, and he's got a rope from one world, and he's brought it to another one, and he's the whole train.
He's using a
falling
train
apart.
from the 1920s to pull open a safe that's from 0 BC. You know,
and there's a woman writing a letter to her secret lover, and they get revealed to be lesbian, which is very Moffat, to be honest. So yeah, that whole sort of sequence it's quite good and it's very Moffat-y. It is funny. And then the Doctor runs out of the train back into Bethlehem, which we don't know it's Bethlehem yet, and Joy is on a green screen.
Yeah, Nicola Coughlan is very clearly not there.
She's on wires on a green screen, and she's been digitally lit from her chest because of the starseed. But it looks like that wasn't the intention, because I assume they would have done that on the day. They wouldn't have done it in post. I don't know. I don't know. This whole bit.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we've kind of talked about this.
We have
already. It is unclear as to whether we should be like yay or like have the bad guys won? Have they not? What was their plan? Why was their plan?
Yeah, if the Doctor wasn't here, would it all have happened the same way? Probably, possibly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
because that Silurian appeared in that room. Joy would have got the briefcase
and figured it out.
Joy would have gone because
she figured it out on her own. It was nothing to do with the Doctor.
Yeah, so I guess the Doctor is superfluous, really. Yeah. But so was Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So there we go. If
your family, if your grandma or your parents or if your cousin or whatever, if they hadn't been offended yet by the fact that they're talking about COVID or people dying alone and depressing them about horrible past trauma that might be, deep rooted within your family from the last couple of years, or politics that might bring people out of the episode, or this, that, or the other, they then say that the star from Jesus' birth was actually an alien device, and that the religion is based off of aliens interfering. So
I thought it was quite cute. I thought it was quite a sweet ending, and my family likes it as well. I remember my mum going, "Oh, that's lovely. That's so nice." I think, why not? I think that's...
Yeah.
It was...
I think I figured it out at one point. I think about halfway through the episode.
I think what's coming, right?
He says something, and I can't remember exactly what it is that he says, but I thought, oh, okay, the star will bloom... Oh, no, it was... They said that the starseed would turn into a star, and I thought, okay, a star, it's Christmas. What famous star on Christmas is there? They're going to go to Bethlehem and make... The Jesus star. So I don't know, but then it took a while to actually get to that happening, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole thing.
Again, it's a hard one to sort of put your finger on, and also just something I realised as I was watching it, the moment when Joy's about to ascend into the sky, and they kind of have that moment of, what you said to me earlier, I think that's good advice for yourself, and find someone. It's like, we've just had a blonde companion leave the Doctor after telling him that she loves him, followed by a Christmas special where a comedian guest star tells the Doctor to go and find someone because he's moping around having left said blonde girl behind. And
then our next companion,
where I've heard that record before.
Our next companion is going to be a woman of colour who works in a medical field.
Called Royal Hope, in a hospital called Royal Hope.
Is it the same name? Is it literally the same hospital?
It might be the same hospital.
Amazing.
Which is referenced in this as well.
Yes.
It all comes back around, it's all cyclical, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. Speaking of Ruby, actually, her appearance was actually quite nice. I didn't expect it at all. I know it was a very brief moment, but it was sort of... Actually, all my family reacted to it as well, which is weird. Yeah. All my family went, "Oh, yeah, it's her."
It was really weird. Nothing, but it was nice to see her. And I thought,
I weirdly really liked it.
I thought that the Doctor was calling. I thought it would be the Doctor. I wonder which mum it was, because she goes, "Oh, hi, mum," and it could be anyone.
Good point. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, good point.
Could be anyone. She's probably pointing at a sign somewhere saying, "I'm going to name your brother Duke Street or something.
Joy.
Joy. I'm going to name your brother Star.
I've just seen a star in the sky.
And then that's nice. Of course, she controversially apparently has been credited before everyone else in the cast or something.
I don't quite understand why. I don't know. Yeah.
It would be so from what I understand, she's on contract to be the companion. She wasn't in the title sequence, so therefore she gets a credit before everyone else. That's how I get, because they couldn't put her in the title sequence because it would ruin her surprise.
It literally doesn't matter at the end of the day.
It doesn't.
Who cares?
But there were lots of people like,
it was just like, oh wow,
why did she get it when she was only in it for 2 seconds? I don't know. I don't care.
It shocks me that Doctor Who fans are complaining.
It's
That's
probably a rights
really
thing.
Insane.
Think about it for 2 minutes. Yeah. She's the main companion.
Yeah.
That's why.
But there we go. Joy ascends, joy to the world. I like that moment. I thought that Ncuti shouting joy to the world over Bethlehem, that's weirdly quite profound. It's quite nice. And there we go. A lovely bit of score from Murray, which sounded a bit like The Greatest Showman. And,
I thought that, actually.
There we go.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But I thought that watching it. That's very funny.
But it's a lovely bit of music. It makes it sing, and I think it's a nice ending.
Yeah.
And
it's a harmless
sort
of nothing Christmas special, but that's what all the Christmas specials are, really, when you think about it.
How would you, if you were to equate this to a previous Christmas special, what would you sort of compare it to?
Oh God,
maybe something like the Runaway Bride, or
I don't really know. I don't think it's like anything like we've had before, Christmas special wise.
That's true. You know what? That's a good point. I don't think there's any special quite like it.
You could sort of say it's a bit like Last Christmas because he goes from one storyline to another and then back to another one. But it's nothing like Last Christmas, really. So I don't know.
No.
I don't know. It's nothing like we've had before, and it's personally not high on my Christmas special rankings. I don't know where I'd put it, but it's not high.
What about Church on Ruby Road? How would you rank it alongside that, given it's Ncuti's other?
I prefer Church on Ruby Road, but then Church on Ruby Road doesn't really have anything to do with Christmas. So out of the two,
that's true. That's true. Actually,
out of the two Ncuti Christmas specials, neither of them. I mean, Church on Ruby Road was a good story. I quite like it, but it's as a Christmas special, I don't like it that much. I suppose. I don't know.
Sure.
I didn't really like the episode, I'll be honest. This one.
Well,
if that wasn't obvious already.
I think I found, like I said, the second time watching it, I found lots to love about it. I thought, like I said, I think it's Ncuti's best performance as a whole as the Doctor. I loved characters like Trev, played by Joel Fry, and Anita, played by Stephanie Dewally.
Yeah, I liked Anita. Perfect. And Trev,
I think she was a real standout. Standout in a story which obviously wasn't she wasn't the focus, but she had a lovely subplot. And I think there was some great lines from Moffat, and sort of a great sort of tour of his best ideas and gimmicks and things like that. So I think I found watching it a second time around as kind of just okay, I can just sit down and watch it now. Like when you get that thing of watching a Doctor Who story as it goes out live, there's a weird, stupid fan thing of like, I really hope that it's good. I want it to be good. You watch it a second time and you can just enjoy it as
what it is.
For what it is.
But then,
and I think I did the second time round.
When I watched it for the second time round, which was earlier this week, I mean, you've just literally watched it now, but when I watched it earlier in the week, I sort of, instead of feeling what you felt, I just thought, oh, here we go, it's this bit now. Oh God, okay. I forgot about that bit. Ugh. I don't know. I just wasn't the biggest fan. I really like the bit with Anita and the hotel and chair time and I think that is genuinely really funny, really good, heartwarming, great character moments. The Doctor being the Doctor.
Really well executed, yeah.
But then the harsh cut back to the story, which I had basically forgotten about because we spent so long with Anita. And nothing really makes sense, and he's being political followed by being, I don't know, I don't know. And he's bringing back Villengard because he created it and he's only brought it back because it's a thing he made up 10 years ago. I don't know. 20 years ago, actually. So it's just, I don't know. The first 20 minutes, I think, is a pretty good episode. The rest of it, I don't really like that much. I'll be completely blunt about it.
But there's something in there.
There is something there.
I think.
Like.
It can't be denied that there's definitely something in there that you'll enjoy, that you'll find joy from.
Sure.
So there we go. That's joy to the world. That's our Christmas affair for 2024. But the fun didn't end there, because afterwards we got a little trailer for Series 2.
Which looks really cool.
It looks great, doesn't it?
It looks really good. Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of...
the budget is budgeting.
Budget is certainly... It seems like they might even have a bit more of a budget.
Scale is huge. Yeah.
The bit that obviously stands out is the cartoon character crawling out of the cinema screen, which looks
like
insane.
A Cuphead style
amazing.
Animation. It's fantastic.
It looks amazing.
It's brilliant.
And there's like lasers, and I don't know. We see Verada Sethu. We see Millie Gibson, I think, again at some point.
We see Ruby at unit with Kate and I think
Kate's
Colonel
back.
Ibrahim.
Yeah,
Kate's back. Yeah,
Kate's back. Yeah, so it does.
Saucers,
it does look good.
Flying saucers attacking a city.
Yeah.
Could be Daleks. Who knows? Underwater stuff. Are we going to get an Atlantis kind of storyline, or
the war between the land and the sea?
Oh, there you go.
We've not heard anything about.
Forgotten about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that recently.
It's a really, really nice trailer. I think from the first shot with that weird sort of juttery cut on Shooty and the TARDIS, it's clear that it's like it's a really stylized kind of looking series. It's got a vibe. It's got a really good vibe.
It's got a vibe.
So I'm looking forward to see what it's like.
I'm going to be the depressing one again. Miles is clearly the happy one of the two of us, the optimistic one. I'm going to be the pessimist.
I'm always optimistic. I try to be.
I love Doctor Who, and I'll never stop watching Doctor Who. But the last sort of couple stories now, I've been a bit disappointed. With the ending of Sutek. I enjoyed the story, but I don't know, it was a bit sort of weird and it sat wrong with me. And now this Christmas special wasn't...
A lot of people struggled with that finale.
Wasn't my favourite, and I think there was a lot of people talking about it, that we've not had much marketing for it, they're not really pushing it, it's probably not going to be any good. And then I watched it and I thought, it wasn't that good. So now, what should I think about the new series coming up? Is that going to be any good? I don't know. But
like you say, it looks good. So that's
the trailer
something
does look good, and I hope
excited.
I hope the trailer is an accurate representation of the series. And I do love Shooty as the Doctor. I'm not dissing him in any sort of way. So I just hope it is more of the bits I like and less of the bits I don't like. To be completely honest.
Well, let's see when it appears, because who knows at this point?
Who?
Are we going to get it May, April? Who knows?
When did we get it last time? Was it May last year?
I think it was May.
Yeah, so I think
whenever our podcast started, basically.
Go back and check when episode 2 came out. But I think I think has Russell said something about it being slightly earlier than May, or slightly earlier than it was.
He said it's coming sooner than you think.
Yeah. So who knows? Imagine
if they dropped it and they'd gone, oh, it's literally going to be happening on New Year's Day or whatever. That would have been a hell of a flex.
That would have been amazing.
Maybe we're going to have to wait a little bit. But hopefully soon. I'm always excited for new Doctor Who.
Yeah,
and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to seeing Ruby. I'm looking forward to the new monsters and just and a new companion as well, Verada Sethu.
And do you know what we've not mentioned?
Whatever a character is. No. What have we not mentioned?
We haven't mentioned the little clip at the end of Doctor Who Unleashed, starring Verada Sethu and Ncuti Gatwa.
Yes, it's very, very short.
We have mentioned
Like I said, it's the only bit of Unleashed I've seen.
Yeah, so the doctor's arguing with the woman at the front desk, who apparently was pushing a pushchair in the Church on Ruby Road, or something, which I don't remember, but I'm sure that's correct. And then he's arguing with the woman on reception, and then in the background, Verada Sethu walks out, and she's told that there's a doctor looking for you, and she goes, oh yeah, when's that not the case or something? But I'm assuming the doctor who's looking for her is the doctor, not a doctor.
Right.
That's my guess. And then that's where the clip ends. So there you go. Now we've talked about it.
There we go. There's never you can't really get a handle on the episode at all from those clips, but it's nice to get something regardless.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when series 2, season 2, whatever it's called, hits our screens.
Yes.
Later this year. But there we go. I mean, Happy New Year, as we said, everyone. I hope you had a lovely Christmas.
And Happy New Year.
And joy to the world, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you guys. We'll be back soon. Who knows when we'll be back, based on the last gap.
We will be back when we're back. Au revoir.
You've been listening to Knowing Who, another Doctor Who podcast, with me, Miles Taylor.
And me, Ben Davidson. Thank you to Sonny King for producing our theme tune.
And thank you to you for listening. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, plus YouTube on the Tailored Vision YouTube channel.
You can also follow us on all social media channels at Knowing Who Pod.
Catch you next time for more Knowing Who.